welcome to WoW 23 and Waves of Wellness. And if anybody's new, is anybody new? Can you raise your hand? Let us know. I'm not seeing any hands up.
Yes, down in the, yeah.
Pat and oh, there you are.
Pat Paul. Yeah. We joined December 6th. We follow Alex Collier on his Friday events, and he had suggested that this would be a good thing to join. And so in December, we signed up, and we're anxiously waiting for our devices, as a lot of people are. But we're glad.
It won't be long. It won't be long. It'll be there before you know it.
Thank you. We enjoy it a lot, and
I've been enjoying the recipes, Dr. G, Dr. Gloria. I did the slims and I did the Mexican stew there, and it was delicious.
Thank you for the report. So make sure you stay tuned and let us know. Participate. That's what we're all about here, is sharing.
It's a real treat to be able to have this. Yeah.
Thank you.
So one thing I also want to say, besides welcome Pat and Paul, I love that it's like two P's. That's really fun. But what I want to say is that on every call from here on, we are running energy through the HHS to the members. Okay. And we are going to start making sure that you're aware of it. Okay. So Gloria has her HHS on. Andrea has hers. I'm trying to see who else is with us that has one. Jonna has hers. And if you want to receive that,
Steph has hers.
Here? I don't see her.
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, there she is. Steph has one. So there's 4 HHS systems that are running through this quantum field. I just got shivers everywhere just saying that. And if you want to receive that energy, you open your hands and receive energy. So sit with your palms up. If you don't, and I don't know why you wouldn't, then sit with your palms down. Okay. Yeah. But this is that universal energy that Dr. A has designed for all of us to receive. But this is a way, Alex actually named it. It is called, oh goodness, I'm going to get it wrong because it hasn't been around long enough, but profound conscious quantum wave is what is coming through that HHS to you on every call. And it was there yesterday. It just wasn't announced. So you weren't aware of it. Okay. But it's coming through because we want to share the love with all of you all the time. And this energy is profound energy, and it's going to be on every single QHS call from here on out. Okay. So receive it. So for Pat and Paul, the rest of you know us, but I am Tracee. I'm a health coach, personal trainer, Reiki master, and I am here with my friend and mother, Dr. Gloria, who has been in practice for over 40 years. Her resume, you guys, just for anybody who doesn't realize, she's been in research. She's a teaching doctor. She has been all over the world teaching. She's had clinical practice. She still sees patients. Many of them are military. And I'm lucky to be one of her patients as well. And she's phenomenal. She is such a gift to this community. And she always has such wonderful wisdom to share with you. She is my sidekick here on Waves of Wellness. And pretty soon I'm going to be her sidekick in an upcoming virtual cooking class that everybody gets to participate. And you will be in your own kitchen. You will be cooking right alongside me, and she can boss you around the kitchen just like she bosses me around the kitchen. So we're going to have a lot of fun, and that's going to be once a month beginning in March. And we're going to have a kickoff call the last Monday in February. And so she's going to explain all the juicy details for those of you who want to play and who don't want to take yourself too seriously, but just want to learn how to cook the Dr. Gloria way. All right. And essentially that is anti-inflammatory cooking. So anyways, so today she's going to be our our lead, interviewee. So I get to interview her, pick her brain, and then you guys can close us out by asking any questions that you want. And as always, oh, it's 11:11. I see that number all the time. It's crazy.
Yep, I do
It
too.
is my number. So who would like to share any
Tracee.
life changes that they have made in WoW? I would love if 3 of you guys could talk, preferably people who've never shared with us before. So go ahead and raise your hand if you want to share some life changes. Okay, is that Paul?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I can't share what the quantum energy twin wave has done for me, twine wave has done yet, because we don't have it, but I would like to share. We had a chance to listen in on the call that you had with Dr. Gloria yesterday, and we were able to find her book about the secret illnesses. We found a used copy that's going to be coming in about a week or two. So we look forward
Yeah.
to that. And it was a
Thank you.
wonderful, yeah, that was a wonderful session that the two of you put on, and we've learned a lot. And
Yeah, thank you. That was great. And we're sharing it with a few other people that need it.
yeah, we're
Well,
celebrating.
and thank you for that comment. It's invisible illnesses, but the book is, you have to know, it's out of print. All the used bookstores have it, because I donated almost 10,000 to different bookstores.
Yeah.
But you can buy it online. But the point is that always remember, whenever you buy a book, whether it's Tracee's or mine or Dr. XYZ, when things change, some of the information in the books is old. And someday, God willing, I will be able to update all those books, because I've written 26. But it's impossible right now, because my dedication is to my patients and to QHS. I mean, that's full time.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind, if it says a certain procedure or a certain supplement, don't go by that, because most of those companies after 2008 and later went out of business, or they've been bought out and merged. So people constantly email me, I can't find this. It's not available. So take the information for the scientific research and for the experiences that I've been through, but don't take it as, law to go out and do what it says to do, or to try to find that supplement, because it's not appropriate for you. It's not available, or it's not appropriate. Just use your common sense, in fact, that you're using it to help you be educated, not necessarily to tell you what to go and get. Okay, that's important. But yes, thank you for that.
Yeah,
I know
you.
it's available, because people buy them in used bookstores all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one we got on eBay, $4.99, free shipping.
Wow, that's a bargain. I should buy one. I don't even have a copy. Mine are all in Ecuador, and I can't get to them. So I should get a copy. Okay.
That's awesome.
Who else?
Rich.
Rich.
Well, here I have had a amazing restoration of my digestive tract related to constipation, and that I think I've had some WoW experiences daily now, because I believe that this technology, the twine, this awesome quantum twine wave experience, has been contributing 70%, I believe. I'm checking it out with my own self, saying about 70%. Then the food that I've been changing into eating certain things and eliminating some things. I've been constipated for years. I have now I think it's completely right on the mark right now. And every morning I have a regular elimination, which I've had a number of years now for a problem. So the food is a very big part of it. It may be, to me, it's more like my thinking, the technology, and then what I eat, as to, and the kind of foods that I'm eating are related to let's see what I would call it, stimulating the peristalsis, and also making the stool softer, so that it can come out easily. And I've been having foot-long experiences, like all the fiber gets together. It's like it comes out in a very amazing. I mean, I'm just blown away by what's happening on my digestive
Well,
tract.
Rich, that's a perfect validation of what I'm going to be talking about today, because I have found in just my own practice in over 40 years that over 60 or 70, not scientifically, but 60 or 70% of the people I work with are constipated and don't know it,
Well,
even though they
yeah,
eliminate every day. So I'm gonna go through all that today. So Tracee,
well,
that's a great opening to what we're gonna do.
that's totally amazing, because what I do though is I'm a scientist and a doctor and stuff, but I I test things out first and see what's going to happen. I've also been using a product, I have to admit that too, which isn't a bad thing. It's magnesium citrate that helps to soften the stool from inside, from the what as a digestive level,
Right.
on a digestive level. So you take enough of it, it will soften it, and as well as give me the magnesium I need in my body, because that's also a big thing. So
Right.
I'm very happy. I'm actually almost like come blown out because of the progress I've been making, and that's a wow, wow, wow. You know,
That's
I
awesome.
really,
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you
huh?
for sharing. And then we'll close up with Cheryl.
I just wanted to share that the whole experience for me, I've kind of felt like it's affecting me holistically in so many ways. I'm on this journey by myself because my spouse is not here and my children aren't. So this is a journey that for me has been, challenging in that sense, to not be able to share other than this beautiful, beautiful community that I'm so thankful for being in. But also that I feel it's been so uplifting in a spiritual sense. So trying the things, whether it's implementing the water, some of that, and I wish I could do more. I've done some of Dr. Gloria's recipes, which I've loved. But just feeling like I'm part of this beautiful community, and I'm hoping at some point I'll be able to connect with some of you physically.
Yes,
That is going to happen. And I'm going to
it will happen.
explain something really quick, Cheryl. So, I don't know if you're part of LWS, but many of you are, and you know how much time I've spent with Ron, right? I mean, I helped him every day pretty much for over a year. And my husband is sound asleep when it comes to humanitarian, RV, anything that we all are aware of. So, what I want to say is you're not alone. It's just that your inner circle is unaware. And one day they are going to just be like, wow, you're going to blow them away, Cheryl. You guys are going to surprise them. I just got shivers again. And you know what? It's okay, because it's not our job to help people awaken. It is our job to hold the space for them to awaken on their own time. And so
Absolutely.
we can all be a big piece of this puzzle, and everybody is equally beneficial, equally beautiful, equally important. And this puzzle that we're building here at QHS and with LWS is not complete without each and every one of you. Okay.
Mhm.
And even Alex, I don't know if you guys heard this. So Alex finally dove into the LWS programs. And on our call that we recorded Monday, he said, I'm going to be using all of Ron's programs to run all my humanitarian stuff through, because he sees
Great.
how simple it is for anybody to implement and to help the max amount of people in an organic way. Okay. So none of us are alone. Please just know that we are all quantumly connected. And the more you plug into these calls, the more you're going to feel that joy and that connection. And Oh my gosh, you guys have no idea how much love I feel for you. And I know that our entire admin team feels that. When you speak on every call, I'm just feeling that love vibration so much.
Mhm.
And our admin team, Cynthia said this yesterday, you guys are all so connected and you all have each other's back. And I feel the same way about all the members. And I feel like it's getting stronger and stronger every day. Okay.
It
So
is.
sending love vibrations to you all right now. And now I'm going to without further ado, talk to Dr. Gloria about our topic for the day. And thank you, Cheryl, for your beautiful input. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Rich.
you.
Thank you, Pat and Paul. Thank you, Kelly and Sally, for helping. And thank you, Dr. Gloria. Because today we're going to talk about health is an inside job. And she's going to talk about something that kind of goes hand in hand with what Rich was talking about as well. So welcome, Dr. G.
Thank you. And Dr. G's just fine. But before I begin, I want to emphasize what Tracee just said and validate. She's always saying, I want to see your beautiful face when people are not showing their face on here. But there's a lot of reasons for that. In order to have that exchange of energy, as powerful as it can be, we have to be there in our own presence, not just on a blank screen. So that's why Tracee is, am I right? I mean, that's one of the reasons that you're so concerned about people being on screen, so that we all do give each other energy, support, and energy holistically, mind, body, and spirit. And the only way we can do that is if we're seeing your faces. So thank you. Everybody today's on screen, so that's great. Okay,
And
I'm going to start out with.
Thank you for saying I was frozen, because I have really bad internet out here in the country, so I freeze. So just let me know and then I can reset it.
Okay. Did you hear what I said though?
Yeah, I heard you. So
okay.
It's an inside job. What does that mean exactly, Gloria?
Well, the first thing that we need to discuss is the fact that, we've all talked about what to do physically. Tracee is an expert at fitness. She's helped us so much. I mean, I love her chair exercises. She's helped us understand that we don't have to be professional athletes or be an athlete that you're at the gym every day in order to stay healthy. She's helped us to find whatever works in our life and in our health. I've worked hard to share with all of you about different foods that ignite inflammation, because we know that inflammation is at the basis of most diseases. And Darlene, with her testing, has proved that. I've proved it with all the testing that I do. So the thing that is important is that we can make the changes, externally. We can cook better. We can do some of the physical things that Tracee has helped us with. But if you don't understand the mechanics of what's going on inside, such as, Rich just shared with us, then the rest of it is kind of like, okay, you might reach 40 or 50% of wellness, but you're never going to be completely well. Because here's what happens. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to look at my notes because I don't want to get any of the statistics wrong. Do any of you know where 600 million neurons are in our body? And it's not like, don't say the brain cell. Where are 600 million neurons housed in our body? Do any of you know that? Because I asked doctors at a medical conference and they didn't know. The what?
Paul and Linda both have their hands up.
Is it the gut?
They do it.
I think it's the digestive system.
I was going to say.
Okay.
The
You're
digestive
both
system.
right. Yeah, you're both right. And that digestive system is called the enteric system, the enteric nervous system. There's 600 million neurons. It starts at your mouth, goes through the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and into the colon and out the other end. Okay? So when people say, and science has now, code named it, the second brain, it isn't the second brain in a stomach. It's the second brain in the enteric system that is mostly housed in our gut. And there's plenty of experts that have written books about this, so that the largest and most complex unit of this peripheral nervous system is really housed in the gut. Now, the gut isn't just the colon. The gut is the small intestine. And what people do not understand, because nobody's teaching them, is that when you don't eliminate, as Rich was sharing with us, and thank you for sharing that personal story, Rich, that you'll say, oh, I ask people, I consult every day with people, and I'll say, well, before I do your scan or whatever, how's your elimination going? Because I follow them for 3 to 4 to 5 months, once a month. Oh, it's okay, Dr. G. Well, what does okay mean? Kelly's going to probably smile at this one. Yeah. What does okay mean? Oh, well, I have a bowel movement every 2 or 3 days. What? Every time you don't have a bowel movement, every day that you miss, you are dumping toxins back into the body to be recirculated. And when that happens, you can't have one good day, whether you take a herbal stool softener or, as Rich correctly said, extra magnesium. I always tell people, start with magnesium. Don't run out and buy a stool softener at the health food store. Start with magnesium, because magnesium does help all the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments. Start with magnesium first. Your body will never lie. Remember, I always say, body talk never lies. When you can't tolerate anymore, you're going to be in the bathroom. And then you go, oops, I think I better back down on the magnesium. If you take it at night, that is when the body does its major detoxification, especially the liver, which I'm really going to go into.
So let me ask you a
the
question with
liver,
that, please,
yeah,
before we move on, take some pauses so I can interject. The magnesium.
Yes.
So there's a lot of
It-
different types of magnesium.
yes,
Some are really powerful, blast off powerful. And so when
like
you
calm.
yes, but it doesn't
Yes.
do that to everyone. So when you recommend magnesium, what type of magnesium do you prefer?
I knew you were going to ask that. I don't recommend one specific type, because everybody is so different. They're bio-individual, to use Tracee's words, that citrate may work for somebody and other ones don't. So I always use a complex that has 4 or 5 different magnesiums in one complex. Then you're getting a full spectrum of magnesium that's going to touch every little part of the body that needs it. But Calm is one kind of magnesium. That's a powder you can buy in the health food store. And I can't tolerate it. Some of my patients love it. They take a little spoonful of it and some warm water, and they have good bowel movements every day, and they don't have a problem. If I do that, I have such GI distress, gas, bloating, cramping, that it's not worth it. So to answer that question, I don't believe there's one kind. You should find one that has several. There's one that I think is on Amazon that's mag something or other, MG, I think. And that one, because I don't want to promote products, but that one I use, and it has several magnesiums, but it's not overpowering, Tracee, like the Calm powder is. It's got 50 milligrams of one and 100 of another. So try a variety of them to see what your body likes.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I use Bioptimizers. I think it has 7 different types of magnesium. You can find it on Amazon, and I take 2 capsules before bed every night. If I forget, I get muscle cramps.
Yes, and so do I if I forget my magnesium. Go ahead, Kelly, because I knew you'd be able to add to it.
I just wanted to let people know, if you're taking citrate, be careful how much you take, because that's what we give to patients before a colonoscopy to clean them out. So you want to go really light on that citrate and titrate, because you will, when you say blast off, you'll be blasting into the toilet for sure.
You will. So you're right. And so that's what I'm saying. But I have patients, Kelly, that can tolerate it. They don't take a tremendous amount. I can't, like you just said, and I can't tolerate the Calm. That's
Lori has a
you want to
question.
enter?
Lori.
Can I interject?
Lori, go ahead.
Okay, well,
Lori, go ahead. Yeah.
I just have to say, I take a magnesium. It works for me great, but I can't take more than 100 milligrams, period. And that's fine for me. I just want to let you know, I'm small, so I'm a small frame, but it's just one time I didn't realize I was taking something different, and Kelly's expression was perfect for it. But anyway.
Perfect. Lori, it doesn't matter what your body frame is. It has to do with how your digestive system? Is it slow? Is it fast? Are you a fast metabolizer? Because some people take it and they're in the bathroom in 10 minutes. I take it at night and I don't have an elimination till the morning. So it's about
I take it in the
metabolizing.
morning. I take it every morning and I eliminate in the next morning. It's just like clockwork. It's just.
Oh, see, and I'm the opposite. Mine's at night and whatever. Okay, Rich, real quick here. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Well, no, I as far as magnesium, there's two different forms of it. When one is osmotic and the other one is more dietary, which goes through the system. And magnesium ozonate, oxide, is ozone. There's one that's ozonated with ozone, and it actually cleanses the body. But you don't take a lot of it. The magnesium I've been taking is only 300 milligrams. That's not a lot. So, but so one's dietary and the other one is osmotic. So
osmotic, and thank you for that. Oxide is oxide is used in a lot of formulas that are laxatives. They'll use magnesium oxide, and you just listen to your body. Okay, we could talk for days about magnesium. The main thing is, before you go out and get a supplement, try magnesium. Okay, Tracee, throw your next question at me because I have a lot to talk about the liver.
No, keep going. I just wanted to ask you about the magnesium.
Oh, okay. So no, but I like you to ask because it gets me on that track then. So just think of the fact that when you have a day that you do not have an elimination, you are constantly building, and it's just building the toxins in your colon. But also, when you eliminate them, it's a false sense of security. Oh, I didn't eliminate yesterday, but today I had a bowel movement, so it's okay, I'm back on track. No, you're not. Because what happens is, if you're not hydrating well enough, if you're not taking your magnesium or whatever you take to help that stool be able to soften enough to go through, and if you're not having enough fiber, I call fiber my rotor-rooter brushes. If you don't eat fiber, you're not going to rotor-rooter the colon. And so what happens is, there's always a little bit of residue left in the lower part of the colon and into the rectum. And so what happens is, those toxins, just think of a compost pile that's rotting. And this is going to get graphic because it's the only way you're going to learn. It's the way I had to learn. It rots. It's basically fermenting. And those toxins let off gases that are hot, just like a compost pile in a farmer's field does. So when that gets hot, what does it do? It irritates those delicate linings that are in the small and large intestine, especially in the colon. That's what you call leaky gut, which is what I almost died from, because mine was from prescription medications after the accident, and then they caused constipation, and this is what happened. So the lining, when they say leaky gut, it doesn't mean, oh my God, there's a hole and it goes right through. No, it means this lining became like cheesecloth. It's permeable. So everything seeps through, sometimes very slowly. It's not immediate. You're sick with leaky gut, but you start reacting to things. I started to where my throat felt like I couldn't swallow. Then I got to where I got flushing all over it, huge welts all over. That was because the more my body became toxic, what happens? You're dumping toxins into the liver faster than the liver's ability to neutralize them. And then you have an allergic reaction. Okay, so it can go all the way from just feeling hot and a little bit of restriction in the throat to total anaphylactic reaction, which I had several times a day. Sent me to the emergency room several times.
So how much fiber do you recommend? Once a day, twice a day? I like to take psyllium husk because it has both soluble and insoluble fiber. And I call it like scrubbing bubbles, right? Because it has both, so it sweeps the digestion.
I like that. I use rotor-rooter and she used scrubbing bubbles, but you get the idea. That's a great analogy. But it's the fiber depends on your weight. That does depend on your weight. If you have a person that weighs 125 pounds and they're taking so much psyllium, they're going to end up blocking up the dam. Okay? Because we call that making adobe bricks, because you're literally, think of adobe, it's straw, it's fibers, right, with mud. When that's what you're going to do. Then you've got another problem because it's sitting there longer, even if you're hydrating. So the fiber has to be, again, listen to your body. I do not eat enough fiber anymore. I know I don't because I have trouble chewing. And so I can't eat my carrot sticks and my celery like I used to before I had all my dental surgeries. So it's important that you find what works for you. You know how much works for you, Tracee, because you're petite.
So I'm not petite. I have a new routine. So every morning at whatever time I decide to take it, I do a tablespoon of the fiber. I do a teaspoon of a green powder with like all the, sea greens and all that stuff. And then I add a half a teaspoon of baking soda. But
she doesn't like baking soda, and I'm wanting her to take it every day.
Yeah. So I'm taking it with the mix, and then I can stand it more instead of by itself.
Okay. And I do it differently. And that's fine because it's working for you. But if you don't like the baking soda, I don't mind it. I just put it in a little glass, stir it, and down it goes to help my pH. But if you don't like the baking soda, for instance, and you don't want to take the fiber, because I call it little sticks. It's like straw. If you don't like it, put it in a smoothie. Put it in your green drink with your green. I use Vitamineral greens that I get at Amazon, which is everything you can imagine. It's moringa. It's wheatgrass juice. It's all of the good greens as if you had taken a barrel of greens and put it in a tablespoon. It's called Vitamineral greens. It's a food. It's considered a food, not a supplement. And it's a big brown glass jar. You just start out slow, like everything else, and put some in a smoothie. So when I have strawberries, right now I don't have any, but when I have organic strawberries, I freeze them, throw in 5 or 6 strawberries in the smoothie. Why? Because it's the lowest in sugar, in natural sugar, and it has some fiber and it makes it taste good. So then I put in my almond milk or my coconut milk and my protein powder or my medical food if I'm using something to detox, which you can only get from a doctor. And it's a great shake with all the same things that Tracee does. I even put in a little MCT oil sometimes. And so, or some olive oil. I love really good quality olive oil in it. And some black pepper and, everything else that you want to put into a smoothie that is healthy, but make it tasty.
Okay.
So that's the fiber. Listen to your body. It does go by your size, where the magnesium does not. It goes by how fast you're metabolizing things. Now, so let's just say that you're having problems. And again, I'm going to get graphic. Let's say you're having problems in the rectum. This is part of the internal working of your body. This is part of what has to happen for you to stay healthy. If you're having internal hemorrhoids, or you're having a lot of irritation, use coconut oil. Tracee's going to laugh because I should have bought stock in Dollar Tree. But buy coconut oil. I buy it at the Dollar Tree. It's amazing stuff. I cook with it because it is purified, which means you're not putting a coconut oil in that is just a normal coconut oil. It's been purified. It's what they use in the hospitals. And just use it in your rectum. Use it wherever you have irritation like that, because it's antibacterial, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory. So instead of using
so buy 2 jars. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, buy 2 jars. One for cooking and one for the other.
Don't double dip.
No, don't double dip. That's cute. And it's $1.25. So come on, don't double dip. Leave it to Tracee. So, but it's amazing. And I want to talk about something else. When we're talking about from the mouth all the way to the other end as our enteric system, okay? Not necessarily the second brain. That's in our gut. You have to include the nasal passages and the oral cavity as much, because it's part of it. You eat, then it goes down the throat. People forget that. They think, oh, it starts at the throat, goes down the esophagus. No. It starts in your mouth and in your nose. So if you have sores in your mouth, if you have dryness or you're getting bloody noses when in the winter, like when I was in Idaho, thank God I don't get bloody noses very often, but when it gets real dry and it's hurting, use coconut oil. Get a Q-tip and put coconut oil up in there, especially at night before you go to bed, because then it melts and goes back down. So what does it do? It's going down the esophagus, down into the internal digestive system. If you're sitting up, it's gonna melt and come out your nose again. So especially when you're laying down, even in a recliner, it works. Just stay there long enough that it goes back down. It's amazing stuff. So don't think of the enteric system starting here, like all medical books say, start here. In South America and in Europe, where I've studied, they say no, it starts in the mouth and in the nose. Okay, so that helps a lot. Now, let's talk a little bit about what happens in order for your body to detoxify. Chinese medicine has proved it for thousands of years that our body detoxifies, the liver detoxifies, I should say, somewhere between 1 and 4 in the morning, which is why it's so important to be able to sleep through that time. And I'm talking to myself because I was up at 1:30. But between 1 and 4 is the time that our liver does its detox protocol. Okay, it's kind of like on a timer. So if you are dumping toxins in faster than that liver can neutralize them, the liver is going to start accumulating toxins, just like your colon will. Okay? And there's some very easy things to do. Number one, when we scan people, we see, both in the type of scan I do and what Darlene is doing, which is so valuable, we can see not only that most people have inflammation, but they're not digesting what they're eating. And Tracee and I have had conversations about this. That's where Mother Gloria comes in. If you're not digesting, you're suffering not only maybe heartburn and indigestion or bloating or gas, maybe you don't have any of those symptoms. But if your scan is showing that you are really compromising your liver, that you're overworking it, it's now inflamed. Why? Because it's not able to detox, because it's not able to digest, especially the fats and proteins, like animal fats and proteins. We're not talking about MCT oil. We're not talking about coconut oil or organic good butter. I'm talking about any other kind of animal fat. Okay? So when you can't digest it, you're forcing the liver to work harder than it can. It's like running an engine all the time and you burn it out. But also, you're affecting the gallbladder. Why? Because that little tube that connects the liver and the gallbladder makes the bile, which is what helps you break down the fats. Because the gallbladder is nothing more than the garbage can for the liver. Okay? So remember, we were talking about that, Tracee, that's why people have so many problems with gallbladder. So then the next question usually is, oh, but Dr. G, I don't have a gallbladder. Oh my God, that's even worse. Because now you don't have the capacity for the junk to go from the liver into the trash can, which is the gallbladder. So the bile stops producing as much as it should. And several other things can do that too, besides inadequate digestion, stress. I mean, come on. We're all under stress in this day and age, in this crazy world right now. Extreme stress causes the bile to not manufacture as much as it should. Medications can cause it too. So what's the secret? Well, there's two things. You can either take a good digestive enzyme that is made to digest fats and proteins. I do not recommend hydrochloric acid. I know some of our peers do. I don't. I've never used it in my practice. But you can take a digestive enzyme, and it doesn't have to be a certain brand. I just always recommend one that doesn't have hydrochloric acid, because I saw too many of my patients in the clinic that created an ulcer because their MD told them to take hydrochloric acid, and they were taking it, and they ended up with ulcers, bleeding ulcers at the worst case. But there's another way that you can, especially as we age, and come on, I've told you all, I'm going to be 77 in June, very proudly. Those gray hairs, I earned every one of them. But when you get older, all of those systems are tired. Will be revived later, but right now we're fighting the aging process. And so what can you do without having to add hydrochloric acid? It's real simple. Apple cider vinegar. You don't have to go buy something that's going to cause an ulcer. You don't have to go buy an enzyme unless you've already tried the apple cider vinegar and you're still having problems. Either in the scan is showing that the liver and gallbladder are stressed, or you're having bloating, belching, burping, heartburn, any of that. Then that means that things are staying in the digestive system and not being able to be broken down.
Okay, question about that. So how much,
Yes.
2 questions. How much apple cider vinegar, and does apple cider vinegar alkalize your body like baking soda would?
Absolutely. Yes. To that question, yes. It alkalizes your body. So a lot of my patients don't like baking soda, but it doesn't do it as fast as baking soda. If you're like a 6.0, when you test your urine strips with your pH strips, it could take a couple weeks to get up to 7.5, which is the optimum health. With baking soda, it'll be a day or two at the most. So that's why I was having Tracee take baking soda, and she just, I'm sure, holds her nose because she doesn't like it.
Oh, and
I'm used to it.
Cynthia,
I've had
when
it
I
since I
told
was a
her, you
kid.
said that. When you told me, I was telling her because I was gagging it down when I was talking to her on the phone, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're making me gag. I can't even think about that." But then I thought,
See, and I don't even.
maybe it's because we need it, and so it's a shock to our system, and maybe you don't need it, and so it's easy for you to take.
That's a good analogy. I never thought of that. Leave it to you to come up with it, but it makes sense. It makes sense. And I was raised by my grandmother since I was 5, and she was an herbalist and a midwife. So anytime we had a little stomach ache, and I had a lot of stress as a child, and I'd say, "Oh, I can't eat, I've got a stomach ache," baking soda and water, and my stomach ache would go away and I'd eat. So I'm used to it. So you're right, though. I probably, number one, I'm used to it. The other thing, too, is that let's talk about the apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, how much?
If you take a tablespoon, now this is if you weigh around 150 or more, you would take probably 2 teaspoons if you were less than that. Try it out. See what your body likes. I take a tablespoon, and I'm about 160, 165.
And how much water?
You put it in water. You want to put it in just like 4 ounces. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little juice glass. If you don't like the flavor, you can put it in a big glass of water. It doesn't matter. The secret is that as soon as you take 1 or 2 mouthfuls of food, I'm going to use an example. You're going to have barbecued spare ribs, which I love, but I can't chew them. You're going to have barbecued spare ribs. Okay? You know they're fatty. Whether you barbecued them and the grease dripped out, they're still fat. There's still an animal protein that is fatty. Take a couple of bites and then drink your apple cider vinegar with your water. What does it do? It's the only thing that we know, especially in ancient medicine, that forces the stomach to produce more hydrochloric acid. So if you're aging, if your digestive system is real sluggish, it kind of says, like when I teach my students, I say it kind of gives your stomach a kick in the rear and says, "Hey guys, stop being lazy, produce some acid here. We need to digest this." And it works. But in the process, just like we were talking about magnesium helping your elimination, but it also helps muscle cramps and everything else, right? The baking soda helps alkalize you. And it's also something that can help your body create its own hydrochloric acid. How is that for?
Good.
Does that help explain that part? Okay.
Yep.
You want me to go on to the liver? Because that's a subject that I'm passionate about, is my liver, because mine almost shut down. After my accident and the drugs they gave me to save my life, I almost died. And my liver was beyond my right breast. It looked like I had an inflatable balloon. And the agony was more than I could even describe. It was also because of the leaky gut. All of those toxins were leaking through. And the only thing that helped me was professional colon hydrotherapy. Why? And I'm not going to go into the colon therapy part as much right now. But why did it help? Because it reduced the burden of the liver. The liver was swollen because it couldn't do anymore. There's your inflammation. It just couldn't do anymore. It's like a balloon that was bursting. Okay? So people say, well, what is the phase 1 and phase 2? I talk a lot about that with my patients. If any of you, do any of you have a HEPA vacuum cleaner or know how it works? It's got the 2 filters. Any of you have a HEPA vacuum cleaner? HEPA?
Yes.
No?
Kelly said yes.
Kelly does. Okay. Okay. A HEPA vacuum cleaner is the best as far as I'm concerned. And it can be any brand as long as it has HEPA filter, HEPA. Why? Because it's got a pre-filter and a regular filter. So your liver is the same way. The liver has two chambers. There's like a little membrane between the liver. And that's called phase 1 detoxification and phase 2. Phase 1 basically breaks down the big chunks. Just think of it for very simple terms. You got marbles in there. You got big chunks of stuff. Okay? Toxins, whatever, whether it's environmental or something you've eaten or medications or whatever. It breaks it down so that it can go through that little membrane into phase 2. And then it can go ahead and absorb. Phase 2 absorbs, sucks all the good nutrients out that you need and discards the rest. It goes through the kidneys and then you eliminate it. That's why when we do medical detoxes, we have to detox phase 1 and phase 2. So what's important is that that phase 1 and 2 detox occurs at night when you're sleeping. So whatever you have to do, and I'm talking to myself when I say this, I'm right there with you. If you're not sleeping, you've got to find something that'll help you sleep, or take a nap if you can. Unfortunately, I'm not a good napper. I've tried, I can't tell you how many years I've tried, but I'm not a good napper. I mean, I lay down and then my brain is like, okay, did you call so-and-so? Did you finish the emails? It doesn't work. But phase 1 and phase 2 are important because phase 1, remember, is taking the big particles to break them down. So my phase 1 and phase 2 were not working. They were so toxic. Think of it as that membrane is a filter, and the filter was completely clogged. So it was staying in phase 1 and the liver kept expanding like a balloon. It was so painful that when I wrote the first book, the medical doctor that helped me, who was a godsend, Dr. Mary, said to me, I was in the emergency room. My throat was closing. I couldn't get to colonics that day. The gal wasn't in her office. And she said, you go home, young lady. That's how she talked to me. And you do exactly as you tell your patients to do, because I've seen the results you've had. And if it doesn't work, come back and see me. And of course, I knew I had to go to colon therapy. So then I started going 3 times a week at a huge expense because insurance doesn't cover it, and started doing everything I'm telling you, little by little, apple cider vinegar in a big glass of water because I couldn't tolerate anything. And the liver started repairing. And one thing that you need to always remember, the only organ that we know of until the quantum wave, the only organ that we know that can completely recover and restore itself is our liver. If we have a piece about the size of a silver dollar, is what scientists have written, that is still healthy, the whole liver will recover. And my last liver function test I had, my liver was at about 97, 98% recovered. When it was shutting down, I wasn't supposed to live from August to December of that year.
So
understand how important that all is.
So let's talk about colonics. I like practical application. So say
yes,
somebody, any of the members that are here today that have never had a colonic, what do you recommend them do? Because what do you recommend? Starting point.
First of all, go on a website. I was the president of the International Colon Therapist Association. I gave up my, resigned from my position and retired it a few years ago. So I'm not in conflict of interest here. Go into the website, i-act.org. That stands for International Association of Colon Therapy. It's around the world. That's why I was the international president. There's also a national group, all the same group, but it's i-act.org. And it's a phenomenal organization because it has the 2 different areas so that there's no conflict of interest. The international, which I was president of, was responsible for making sure that the colon therapists followed all the FDA regulations in this country, like in Australia, in South Africa. We have, they're all over the world. And is Jorgen on? I thought I saw him in Copenhagen. I thought he was on here. You can go on that website and go in and put the country or the state, and it'll pull up all the colon therapists. And it'll tell you, are they just beginners? Are they advanced? Are they instructors? And that's how you find somebody that is meeting all of the regulations for safety, for everything. Because if they're not meeting them, they're not allowed to be in the organization. So i-act.org. Now, I have a preference, and I guess politically I shouldn't, but I'm going to. There's two kinds of devices that you need to know. There's what they call an open system, which is like, I call it a high-powered enema. Because the therapist will take you into a room. It's like a lounge chair made out of fiberglass. You can see the tube where all of the elimination is coming through. They put or you place the device, or they place the device, the speculum, into your rectum, and they walk away. Because you just literally take the water in, and when you don't want it, you just push it out. I don't like that. Okay? I had a machine installed in my house when I was so sick. I had to, and they're very expensive. And the closed system, which is the one I prefer, and don't go tell a colon therapist, Dr. Gloria said that the closed system is the only good one. Please don't do that. But you can always ask when you call, do you have an open or a closed system? And the closed system, everything is enclosed. The therapist stays with you the entire time. The water is under pressure, not gravity fed, like the open system. Jorgen is here. I just saw him. And so when you use the closed system, the water pressure is adjusted. So let's say the water starts going in real slowly into your abdomen. And then you say, okay, I can't take any more. I'm full. They stop it and they start massaging you. Every therapist is different. Mine used to massage my feet. Again, Tracee and I have talked about acupuncture, acupressure, and they'll massage the calves of my legs, the back of my knees, and all of a sudden the body would release because we are all connected. When you're doing the other type, very seldom do they do anything but connect you and walk out of the room. That's my objection to it. There are old-time therapists that use the open system that I met and went and had therapy with in Canada when I was investigating, because I had to go to a lot of these countries. I was the one kind of checking them out to make sure they were in compliance. And they did a fabulous job. They'd been doing it for 30 years. They still did the massage. They never left you alone. So that's, in general, though, that's not what happens. Okay, so the closed system, you're still seeing everything come through the tube. And please don't be concerned about it. Just say, oh, thank God it's out of my body. Because you never know what you're going to see coming through. Some things are wiggly and squiggly. So don't get concerned about it. Just be glad that you're there and that it's coming out. Okay, and I talk all about that in the first book I wrote, because that's what saved my life. It eventually reduced the toxin, the toxic load in my liver to where the liver can start recovering. My bowel movements restored, and the liver started to recover. So can you imagine? I was below 100 pounds, about 160, 165 is my normal weight. You could see the collarbones just protruding. It was awful. And that was because I couldn't eat. If I ate, my throat would close because the liver couldn't handle anymore. So understand that health begins on the inside. Yeah, go ahead.
How often do you recommend somebody doing a colonic when they've never had one before? Because I know that they try to sell you on these big packages, and what is a good just general recommendation for frequency?
That's a super question. Let's say that you're having issues. Now, let me use an example. I get a patient, they're not having bowel movements, or they're very irregular, they're bloated, they're cramping, they have a lot of food allergies. I would say get a package and go at least 6 times. But here's the difference. If you go once a week, it's not enough to really get through that experience that you need to clean out the body quick so that you don't recirculate the toxins. So I always tell patients, if you've never gone, go 1 time. Feel comfortable. You have to feel comfortable with your therapist. If you don't, check out the office before you go. Check out the personality. You know how all of us have different energies. Some of us mesh better than others. Check it out and make sure you're comfortable. It's a very intimate procedure. Nothing to be embarrassed about, but it's an intimate procedure. Then if you're doing okay, then go twice a week for at least another couple of weeks, but not 2 days in a row. I write out a whole schedule for my patients depending on their health, like go Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Saturday or something like that. And then you can decide if your bowels become regular, if your allergies are better, if you're digesting everything better. The recommendation, like in Europe, believe it or not, companies pay for their employees to go get colon hydrotherapy and massages. I know because I've lectured and taught there. And yeah, they pay for it. It's a company benefit because they say it's less expensive to keep them healthy than to get them well. And I wish everybody felt that way. So, for instance, I was in Amsterdam and I went to a cute little village to teach. One of our therapists was there that's in the association. And I had all this, lined up. I did a whole loop in Europe teaching. And I said, well, how often do all of you, we had probably 28, 29 people in the classroom. How often do you all go? Oh, we have to go at least once every 3 months. That's what the company pays for. And they contract with different therapists to do that. So they get a reduced rate, but then they encourage their people to go. I don't think they'd lose their job if they didn't, but if they got sick, maybe they, what they got sick with wouldn't be covered. I don't know. But once every one or two therapies every 3 months is what's recommended for maintenance. So if every 3 months you went like once a week for 2 weeks, that should be okay. But again, it's so personal. I mean, I was going, let's see, when I left the States for Ecuador, I was going twice a month. Just because at that time I was so busy and I had gotten so sick after my oral surgery and all that I knew I was toxic. I had a lot of anesthetic, a lot of other procedures done, a MRSA infection in my arm that I almost lost my arm from having a mole removed. I mean, all that I was doing before I went to Ecuador, and I ended up with negative situations in every one of them. So I knew I had a lot of toxins inside and a lot of medications that they had to give me when I got so sick. So I went more often, but once every 3 months, to go twice, don't go just one time, go 1 week, kind of loosen things up, kind of like, pre-soaking. I always call it pre-soaking things, and then go the next week and it'll usually come out. Make sure you're hydrated. And if you need to, take some extra magnesium the day before you go to help things flow.
Awesome.
Does that answer your question
helps.
about colon therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The association is the best because then you're getting somebody that has to meet compliances for safety and procedures and everything. I mean, you're going to get people that you're not going to mesh with. I interviewed some gals that I was going to have done therapy done when I was in the Bay Area. And I just said, I'd like to come by the office and set up an appointment if find out what you offer. And I walked in the door and, like you say, I mean, my skin just tingled. It's like, no, I can't be in here. I didn't even go look at the actual therapy room. So you have to have that good energy exchange with the person. It's an intimate procedure.
Yes.
Question. I can hear you. I can see your brain working.
No. Okay, forgive me. I was like just looking to see if I can find one in my area. Do you have any more bullet points, Dr. Gloria, or do you want to take questions now? It's at the top of the hour.
Let me see. I did have one. Your colon in an adult is about 5 feet long. This I'm going to read to you so I don't get it wrong. I know that by heart, but the other parts I don't always remember. Okay, but I got to get to this. The alimentary canal, in other words, all of that canal that the tube in our gut, okay, that can be all the way in the alimentary canal can be up to 29.52 feet from the esophagus to the rectum. So you're not talking a small little tube that you're going to put some food through, okay? And the small intestine, if you were to cut it, just think of it as a sausage and you slice it. You know how like when you fry a hot dog, you slice it? At least I used to for my kids, or you're going to put it on the grill. You slice it down, but you still leave it intact. If you were to do that to the small intestine and put it side by side, it would cover the surface of a tennis court. That is where you absorb all of your nutrients, your vitamins, your water through the small intestine. So don't think it's only the colon that's important, but if the small intestine is damaged, you not only have problems like people will have to wear a bag because they'll get Crohn's disease. I have a lot of patients with irritable bowel, Crohn's disease, and many other, not necessarily colon cancer, because by the time they get to me, they've already had most of their colon removed. But you have to understand that this is why we called it, wellness begins from the inside out. You can do all these external things and the right food and organic and wash your vegetables right and exercise and walk and keep your blood pressure down. But if you're not doing what you need to do to not only maintain your internal system, okay, but to also feed it what it needs. And that's the last part of my bullet points, and that is the probiotics and the prebiotics. You have to be able to have about 80% good bacteria, which we call health enhancing bacteria. That's the probiotic. And then you have to have 20%, in most bodies we have it anyway, of the bad guys, so that the good guys never forget how to fight. And I think I've mentioned this briefly in another program. If you gave our army, any military, the best ammunition and the best training and everything, but you never let them practice, then all of a sudden we're attacked. They're not going to remember how to do it all. It's the same thing with your good bacteria, with your microbiome. That is the intestinal terrain of your gut. So when you hear those fancy words, it's just the good and the bad bacteria in your gut. That's your microbiome. It's just a fancy word they came up with in science about 7-8 years ago. It used to just be called the gut lining, or the enteric coating. Now it's microbiome. Okay, so it's very important that we have the probiotic, because the probiotic is food, as Tracee said, something about the fiber. What did you call it? The scrub?
No, what I said is the probiotic is planting the different plants in your garden, and the prebiotic is the fertilizer.
Right. Thank you. And that's exactly what it is. It's also food. It's the fertilizer. Obviously, it's the food for the good bacteria. Okay. So it's very important that we feed all of that.
What prebiotics do you recommend?
Food, fiber.
Like
and the most important is
fruit?
Fermented vegetables. Yes.
Fermented
vegetables.
So,
not as much fruit. Vegetables, okay. Especially the fermented, the sauerkrauts, the pickles. I make a lot of fermented vegetables, and I love red cabbage. Fermented, not fermented, pickled, and it still is fermented at that point. So then it's good fiber. It's good food for the good bacteria. You can buy prebiotics, but why buy a prebiotic when you can eat it?
Yeah, I agree. I go to my farmer's market every week and I get different fermented vegetables and I rotate through them. So Mina asked if she makes homemade dill pickles. Are they good for alkalizing?
Yes.
Okay.
And yes. But again, you don't know how much your body needs. I may need, 5 or 6 little pickles. Let's say they're the miniature gherkins. And, a day, that's a lot of pickles to eat. So you have to rotate it. Like you said, Tracee, we should never have the same thing all the time. Even your probiotics, rotate them by the bottle. All probiotic supplements come in a 30-day supply, 1 a day. So just as I talked in one of the other shows, go up and down the ladder. That means if you start at a probiotic, I don't know what's available over the counter anymore because mine are prescription strength, but you can start at like 60. I wouldn't start at less than 60 billion in one capsule for an adult. Then maybe the next time you can find one that's 70 or 80 billion, and then 90 billion. We have 100 billion. And some health food stores do have 100 billion. I know that Whole Foods does in their refrigerated section. And then go back down. So that means 3 or 4 months, you're taking each month a different one. Then start back down, get what you have available, but don't take the same one, because those soldiers, those warriors in your gut will get, you're going to give me that again. I don't have to train. I don't have to worry about being effective. So don't do that.
I actually
you've got
made a
question.
chart. I made a chart for you, and it and I posted it before, but I'll share it again when I share the replay. Okay. So that people can look at that.
Okay.
I think you had them start at 100, titrate down to 60, and then go back up. And then they go back down and go back up. So,
right.
Okay,
it's
cool.
better. Yeah. She did make a gorgeous chart. Yeah.
So Greg
it's
has
better to start at the top if you can find it. Find it, but you have to find 100 billion. We used to have, Tracee, 200 billion in one capsule up until COVID.
Wow.
Can any of you guess why it wasn't available anymore? Because the FDA took it off the market. It was too good for you. So now we can only get 100. Even at my institute, they can only get 100, which is a prescription strength. So just, it doesn't matter. Get the highest one you can get. When you start, go back down and then go back up the ladder. Yeah, I forgot that you made that chart. please post that again for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do
Got
that.
another question. I think
Greg has a
Greg
question.
does.
Hi,
Go ahead,
everyone.
sir.
How's everyone today?
Excellent.
Enlightening
great.
as always enlightening, as usual. In fact, after this, I'm headed for the
Thank
Dollar General store. I had in my late 20s, yeah, my late 20s, I have to get a lot of things, but anyhow, in my late 20s, early 30s, I had been diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus. And because I was getting a lot of heartburn, I said, I better get this checked out. My father died. He never drank, never smoked, family man at 59 of esophagus cancer. So I get scoped. In the beginning, I had to get scoped every 6 months. And then went from every 6 months to a year, then every 2 years, every 3 years. And now it's every like 5 years. Now, 2020 was the last time I was scoped. My question is, I get scoped both ways at one time. Okay. I just have two stipulations. I tell the doctor, make sure I'm completely out. That's number one. And number two, don't use the same camera going down my throat. Okay. So they're my two stipulations, or you're dead. So they're my two stipulations. Right. And so in 2020, they said I didn't have esophagus cancer any longer. Now, my question is, okay, then I got something else.
But you did have it?
I did have it.
Okay, but Greg, you did have esophageal cancer?
No.
Okay.
I had Barrett's esophagus.
No.
My father died.
Okay.
Of esophagus cancer.
Your father, okay.
At 59. I never, well, outside of college, I don't drink, and I don't do, okay. I don't smoke and all that. But anyhow, what is the situation with the baking soda, the hydrogen peroxide, and the apple cider vinegar with my esophagus? I don't want to irritate anything, but I do know sometimes I have a digestive problem. But I go every day. I take my magnesium. In fact, I talked to Steph on that. She said to double up, and I thank you. She was right there. I also talked to Andrea, and she knows I take Dr. Gundry's products for prebiotic, probiotic, prebiotic, and also for leaky gut. So I'm doing all of that. The only thing is I don't.
Okay, so just know that we can't give you individual advice, Greg, because that is, we can't do it. I mean, I don't know your whole history. I don't have and if I did, I couldn't do it anyway in this format. Okay.
In this format.
But I'm going to give you all a suggestion in a minute that you brought up that I hadn't talked to everybody about. So thank you for that, because you made me remember something, Tracee, that is very important. Actually, you got some, Tracee. That's why. So let's talk about that quickly, if I can, Greg, and interrupt you. Okay. Tracee, you know the aloe juice that I recommended for you?
Yeah.
The aloe vera juice that people go get is colored. It's green. They think, well, it's a green aloe plant. It should be green. No, it should be distilled. You can get a distilled version over the counter. It's a little different, made by the same company, or you can get the professional one, which you would have to get from a doctor. It is distilled aloe juice. It looks, tastes, and feels like water. Has no flavor, and you don't have to refrigerate it. The one you can buy over the counter is George's, like George Washington. George's distilled aloe juice. You can buy it over the counter, but it's a different process when they make the one for the hospitals and the doctors, which is what my institute carries. Okay, and the point is that you can't just sell it because you have to buy a case of it. But George's is made by the same company. It's distilled. That means all of the allergens, all of the bacteria is taken out of it. And whenever I have a patient, so I can't answer you specifically, Greg, but I can tell you what I do with my patients. How's that? When a patient has the situation you described, or any kind of GERD, any kind of esophageal problems, or even throat problems, I tell them to take 4 to 6 ounces of that juice 2 or 3 times a day, depending on how bad it is. At least if you take it at night. And remember, it tastes like water. Same consistency as water because it's distilled. At night, you brush your teeth, you do everything you're going to do, you take your supplements if you're taking any at night. And the last thing is your aloe juice, because you don't want to dilute it. You want it to calm everything down, the throat and the esophageal tube, okay? So if you drink water right after, you're going to wash it into the stomach and then go to bed, because then it has time to completely remove all inflammation. And the beautiful part about this, and I found out about it when I worked at the Mercy Catholic Hospital in San Diego, they use the same aloe juice that I'm talking about, only in the professional strain, for all burn victims. I used to volunteer in the ICU, and when the helicopter would bring in a patient that had been burned in a car or in a home fire or whatever, they would put them in like a little saddle, okay, like a jump seat, into a big stainless steel tank, and these tanks were then filled with the distilled aloe juice that is the professionals one that we used in the hospital, which is what I use for my patients. Why? Because distilled aloe juice not only removes all inflammation and helps everything heal from your mouth to the other end, but it doesn't allow, this is important, Greg, it doesn't allow scar tissue to form. Anytime you have something raw inside your body, there's the opportunity or the chance, and I don't know if Kelly can elaborate on this or not, but it can form scar tissue. And then sometimes the scar tissue, depending on how bad the wound is to that area, can also be a problem, and then they have to remove it. So this eliminates any scar tissue, which is why they use it on burn victims, to get rid of the pain, you know, to take the sting out and to start the healing process. So they literally put them in a stainless steel tank with that juice. So thank you, Greg. I hope that helps. George's, you can buy it over the counter.
Okay,
Okay?
Gloria,
Thank you.
somebody posted in the chat.
Yes.
Okay, and I want to address this quickly because we only have 12 minutes left, but it says, please be careful with aloe. It's contraindicated if you are not constipated. Can you address that quickly?
That's an old theory. I haven't read anything at all. It's the complete opposite. What I read, the person is correct. What I read years ago was reports that were coming out because it was competition between aloe companies.
That makes sense.
And so, no, I don't, yeah.
And
again,
I am
listen
not
to your body.
constipated. I'm not constipated, and I drink it, and it doesn't do anything wrong with me. So, okay, thanks, Greg. Nancy,
Right.
you're up.
Okay, I think you've got.
Nancy,
Go ahead, Nancy. You're up.
you have to unmute, my dear.
Gotcha.
You're
I
muted.
had so many questions or comments, but as far as what you're just saying, Dr. G, I'm blown away because recently I got the updated version of Eat Right for your blood type. And for O positive, it says no aloe juice. It says no coconut oil, no coconut milk, no black pepper, no cucumbers, no avocado.
That's why I don't follow that, Nancy. I don't follow it. I'm sorry. It's just not in my consciousness to do it.
Let me tell her what happened with
Tracee
me.
had a good experience with that. Yeah,
So
tell him because Tracee's the one that told me this.
So Nancy, I was doing research when I did a presentation on all these different diets recently. And I'm going to tell you something. That guy lost all credibility with me when he recommended canola oil. I literally returned the book. I'm like, really? Like, I'm type O. He recommended canola oil. And anybody who's telling people to eat canola oil, you're going in the recycle bin right there. I actually returned it because
me too.
Way. I think he actually now is revised.
And
he took that out, but that's.
Yeah, so that's
but the point is that the recommendations and the consciousness was there. I've met him, and he's a very nice person, and he's very well informed on nutrition. But there's some things we don't agree on, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree. It tells me not to eat avocados. You got to be kidding me! I was raised in an avocado grove with a Latin heritage and French. I eat avocados. Trust me. Thanks, Nancy. That was a good comment.
I have one more question too, please. Apple cider vinegar. I'm very acidic. I mean, my pH strip sometimes is 5.5. So I was doing baking soda, a teaspoon of water in the morning or else even at night, but I don't need it at night. But I stopped the apple cider vinegar because that's acidic. So
No, no, I shouldn't say no. You're correct. It's acidic, but it becomes alkaline in the body.
Just like lemon.
It becomes an alkaline in the body. So it's not acidic. It's just acidic when you drink it. Just like it's acidic when you eat pickles or you eat sauerkraut, but it has an alkaline reaction in the body. Does that answer you?
Yes, it does.
But you have to get that pH up, Nancy. If it's 6, that's not healthy, hun. Got to get it up. So I don't care if it's baking soda and or apple cider vinegar, get it up and eat lots of greens because those will get it up too.
So it's one teaspoon of apple cider vinegar or a tablespoon, like
a tablespoon. The baking soda is 1 teaspoon.
Yeah. Okay. And then I just have one other comment. I just want to add, as far as liver and detoxing, because mine does it about 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been told that NAC or glutathione can help with that too.
Yes, it does help. I can't recommend it for you, but yes, it does help.
I take it. I take NAC.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would say NAC over
yes,
glutathione. Sorry, we're talking over each other.
Yeah.
So NAC is actually better than glutathione because when you take glutathione, your body goes, well, she's taking it. Why do I need to bother making it? But if you take NAC,
that's right.
It makes your body make it on its own. So it's better. Okay.
That's great.
She's
Thank you so much.
She's absolutely right. Yeah. You're welcome.
And she said earlier about the ACV, depending on your weight. She said a tablespoon if you weigh over 150 or 2 tablespoons if you weigh under 150. I mean, 2 teaspoons, sorry.
No, 2 teaspoons.
Yeah.
Right. If you weigh under 150.
That's for apple cider vinegar?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Okay, Dawn.
Uh-huh.
Hi. So this is such a timely topic because I have had so much like up here just in my upper abdomen issues going on. And I guess I'm not quite sure where to begin with everything, but and just to back up
I can tell you.
I've had history like 2 years ago where I had some gallstones that got stuck in my bile duct. And I'm feeling some of that nauseated and sick to my stomach. And when I'm hungry, I eat, but then I eat and I feel horrible. And this has been going on for a couple of weeks now. And I'm like, what do I do?
Okay, Dawn, you've already had gallstones that got stuck. That's serious. Were you able to pass them finally, or did they have to do something to get rid of them?
I had surgery to get them out. And I was in the hospital a week because my pancreas was so inflamed. I mean, I was a hot mess, but
inflammation. Do you see what I'm saying? So you've got to start with dietary changes, hydration, good elimination. The only thing I can give you advice on is take the aloe juice. It's a plant, so I'm not giving you, medical advice. It's food. You can eat aloe. So take your aloe juice because that'll start calming things down. But then you better do something about getting those stones out. Do a flush, and I can't recommend that because that would be giving you medical advice. But do a liver gallbladder flush and get those stones out of there.
Okay.
So that you don't have that accumulation and you end up.
I did like about 1.5 years ago, I did a gallstone flush, but it didn't yield anything. So I guess I just need to try it again or maybe do a different one.
That's because you didn't do it often enough. You have so much, you're backlogged.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're backlogged. Tracee, you've had experience with that.
What is the name, Gloria, of that lady? Just
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, I thought you meant about the substance. I can't say that.
No, the name of that lady that wrote that book or that has the website that you shared the name of with me.
About the gallbladder?
Yeah, about the liver cleanse.
Oh, it sounds
good.
Oh, Hulda Clark. Hulda Clark.
Oh,
look up that name.
Yes, I've heard that name. Okay.
Okay, get some of the old books because they're all out of print too. Get some of Hulda Clark's books and it'll tell you how to do the cleanse and do it correctly. Don't decide to go out on your own. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Dr. Jana, you're going to close us out here.
There we go. Hi. I was wondering about when you're chewing up vegetables that have a lot of fiber and it's like you can't even chew it up because the fiber is so strong. Like it's, you can't actually chew it. They're really small bits. I usually just spit that out. Is that something that you can actually swallow and it's good for you, or is it just too much fiber and you really do better to spit it out?
It depends. That's a good question, Dr. Jana. I have trouble because they've done surgery. I mean, all my bone has been cut, upper and lower. And so I can't chew it. So I have to put it through my Vitamix, okay, in order to get the fiber. You still get the fiber. You just don't blend it until it's literally no fiber left at all. What you can do, and a lot of my patients do, is steam it. So for instance, let me give you an example. On broccoli, I love broccoli, but those stems are tough. So unless I'm going to use them for soup, right, you're not going to eat the stem. But if you slice them paper thin, like on a mandolin, and steam them, they're delicious. It's one of the recipes that's coming up soon. And you saute them or whatever, and that way you get the fiber, but it's soft. And by that point, then you can chew it and swallow it. So just steam them a little bit.
But you shouldn't really be concerned about swallowing something that doesn't chew up really well. You can still swallow and it's fine. It's good.
Well, it depends on the size. You don't want great big strings of fiber, but if they're small, you shouldn't be worried about it. No.
Okay.
No, it's the Roto-Rooter brushes.
And
okay.
I find that people don't chew their food enough in general. Okay. Ideally, your enzymes are created in your saliva. So you want to chew your food, masticate your food until it's liquefied. And then you get the maximum amount of saliva that's going to pre-digest that food before it hits your tummy. Okay. So that is the best.
Tracee, what was that?
What?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say,
what was that old? So am I, because we're all in a hurry. What was that Weight Watchers used to say? 20 times? That you're supposed to chew your food 20 times in order to get that saliva and the digestive enzymes going. So we're all in a hurry. We chew a few times and swallow. And Tracee's absolutely right, because all of those digestive juices start in the mouth. They don't start in the stomach. So you've got to get all that going. So just chew better. Yeah.
So we all need to slow down. Seriously. Also, what will happen is you will trigger your leptin response, which tells you when you're full, and then you stop eating. Okay. So it's a twofold benefit for us to slow down. So, and also let's face it, eating's pleasurable. Why would we want to rush through any pleasurable experience? So there's that. All right. Thank you, Dr. Gloria, for your amazing information. And thank you for all of you beautiful members who participated. I just love you so much for that. So let's close with our regular closing. Okay. Bring your hands into prayer position, Anjali Mudra, and to your forehead. May you think only joyful thoughts. To your lips, may you speak only kind words. And to your heart, may you show love to yourself and to all those around you. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I hope you learned a lot.
Oh, they did. I'll post the chart in the chatty chat on Telegram. Okay. Thank you for coming, you guys. Make it a beautiful day.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.